Hey guys, and welcome back to Astral Cognition. Today we are continuing our series on the Myers-Briggs type indicator. We are going to be talking about the cognitive spectra, which are also known as the cognitive functions. We are going to be referring to them as the cognitive functions throughout this video and future videos simply because it would get annoying and probably confusing if we used both the versions.
Today we'll be discussing what the cognitive functions are and how they are defined according to Jungian analytical psychology. Then we'll be diving into the different sets of cognitive functions, judging and perceiving functions. This video will dive into the judging functions, and in the second part of this video, we'll be going into the perceiving functions. All timestamps to specific topics are in the description, so go check them out if you want to look at what we're going to talk about today.
This video is a part of an ongoing series we are doing on the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Our previous video was actually an introduction to the system, so if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend you to go back, check that video, and circle back to this one. It lays the foundation for what certain words mean in MBTI and what MBTI really is. Click the I card in the corner or check out the description of this video to see our introduction to the system. Now, on to our main topic of discussion, the cognitive functions.
A helpful way to think about the cognitive functions is to imagine that your brain is a huge radio tower. We're all constantly sending and receiving signals to and from each other, and it's a major part of the way we communicate. The cognitive functions in this example would be the frequencies that your brain is attuned to receiving and sending.
Each function has an introverted and extroverted variant. Unlike the definitions we gave for these words in our previous video, introverted functions and extroverted functions work a little differently.
In the realm of cognitive functions, introverted functions are what are known as source functions. This means that they are the signals that are being sent out from your brain. Extroverted functions are the signals that your brain receives from others. So it makes sense that if one person is sending out a particular kind of signal using one of their introverted functions, the signal is best received by someone who has the extroverted variant of that same function.
First, let's talk about the judging functions, thinking and feeling. If you recall in our last video, we defined these two functions as the functions you use to make decisions. That's all that the judging functions really are, the decision-making functions. These two functions each have an introverted and an extroverted variant. So let's go through each of them one by one.
Let's start off with introverted thinking. Often abbreviated with an uppercase T and a lowercase I, introverted thinking uses one's own logic and reasoning to make a decision. C.S. Joseph, a YouTuber who frequently makes videos regarding Jungian analytical psychology, has a really good analogy for the thinking functions that I really like. Introverted thinking, in his analogy, is like sitting at a booth with 10 thoughts lined up, and the person at the booth is stating whether each thought is correct or incorrect. Introverted thinking always tries to find the most logically sound way of doing things, and TI will always try to make sense of the world around it. TI users, or those that consciously use introverted thinking, are always more than happy to tell you what they think.
Thinking also has an extroverted variant. Extroverted thinking, often abbreviated with the uppercase T and a lowercase e, uses the logic of others to decide on things. Using the analogy before it would be similar to be overseeing 10 booths. Once those 10 booths finish going through their lines and come up with the result, extroverted thinking will go with the majority's answer. T users often feel the need to know what others are thinking, and they may ask questions about what you think on a given topic. However, they tend to be very picky about the sources they get information from and will only take information from the reliable sources in the hopes of eliminating the worthless thoughts.
Now, on to the feeling functions. Introverted feeling makes a decision based on what is right to an individual. Rather than relying on data, which is what the thinking functions do, the feeling functions rely more on a moral compass. FI users often want their decisions and actions to line up with what their ideals are. They also want to ensure that they are acting in an authentic manner and not mimicking or copying anyone else. By extension, this often means that introverted feeling wants to be happy and satisfied with the life it leads. FI users really appreciate it when you let them talk about the issues that they are passionate about and let them express themselves for who they really are.
On the other hand, extroverted feeling is more concerned about how the group feels about a particular issue. Rather than asking where the individual's moral compass falls on a particular issue, extroverted feeling relies on others to make that assessment. And similar to the extroverted thinking, assumes itself to fit with the majority of the people. FI users want more than anything to embody the ideas of others in order to ensure harmony between everyone. FI users tend to avoid arguments because they aren't happy when those around them aren't happy.
If we were to consolidate these 4 functions into one word each, introverted thinking would best suit logic, extroverted thinking would best suit rationale, introverted feeling would best suit morals, and finally, extroverted feeling would best suit ethics. Although you may think that many of these words mean the same thing, there are slight differences. You can have morals, but you can't have ethics. Instead, a collection of people's morals become the basis for ethical behavior. In that case, it makes sense that FI represents morals while FE represents ethics. Similarly, you can have your own basic sense of logic, but a collection of thoughts from those who are logical creates a rationale behind something. Thus, TI is akin to logic, and TE represents rationale.
Now, these 4 functions are inherently tied to each other. This is apparent in the way we speak and act. For example, if I were to say that I think a particular statement is true, you may feel it is offensive. Why is it offensive? Because my statement went against your beliefs. If we take this from my perspective in this scenario, I thought about something and you felt it was wrong. Thus, introverted thinking and extroverted feeling are linked together. If we take the same scenario now from your perspective, it would sound similar to they thought that this was right, which I felt was wrong. That would link extroverted thinking and introverted feeling. Thus, all 4 of these functions are linked together.
I know that we talked about a lot today, so we're going to end this video here. As you can see, language is an important part of understanding psychology. The words that you say can reflect your psychology. And it may seem like we're splitting hairs, but it's easier to remember these topics when they are condensed to a short word or phrase. In the next video, we'll continue on this topic and talk about the perceiving functions.
Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to stay updated on future releases. Also, our apologies for not uploading last week. We have some big things planned for this platform, but of course, we still have to deal with our personal lives. If you want to join the team, check out the description for a link to the form you can fill out to apply. We're still accepting applicants and would love it if you would decide to join us. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.